What's up, people? I'm back for another video. I am here to review the last, well, really, I mean, you could say Army of Darkness is like the main story ending, or Ash vs. Evil Dead, but I'm doing the reboot, which came out in 2013. And then tomorrow, I can't wait for this, I'm reviewing, I would call this Ridley Scott's second masterpiece, Gladiator. One of the greatest movies of all time. Probably Russell Crowe's best movie. I mean, that I'll go more into that tomorrow. But yeah, really great movie. So it has been a while since I've watched it, at least 4 or 5 years. So definitely, I'm definitely interested to hype back in. I mean, jump back into that one, but I'll talk more about that tomorrow. And then Sunday, because I wasn't able to get to it yesterday, I'm gonna review Devil's Advocate. So I'll be doing that Sunday. It'll probably be nighttime Sunday when I do it, but yeah, I'll do it Sunday. But Evil Dead reboot. This movie came out in, I think it was April of 2013. I could be wrong. I know it was 2013. I remember seeing this the first time, and I really liked it. Granted, I only watched it up until today. I watched it twice because I watched it one other time. But yeah, I remember really liking it at the time, and it was a different type of movie. And I'll admit, at the time this came out, I wasn't as acquainted with the Evil Dead movies. I think I'd only seen the second one and then the third one, or Army of Darkness. So I'd seen the last two, but I didn't see the first one. But I remember really liking it. It was gory. It was a solid reboot. It went its own direction, and there are even some ways it can easily, in a way, fit with the other movies as its own little thing. It's a different core group of characters. You still have the Necronomicon and stuff like that. And Evil Dead's timeline isn't as it's not as streamlined as let's say Scream or Chucky. So, but other than that, I really would recommend it. I think the only thing I didn't really like was I didn't like besides Mia and I guess her brother David, everyone else just kind of there. I think that's the only weak part, especially compared to the original, that first Evil Dead movie. That core group of characters were really good, especially for a slasher or even a horror movie. But the kills were really good. The practical effects, there was a lot of practical effects. I think there was a lot of really good cinematography. That third act is really good, has solid pacing. I think there's more good than bad. And especially compared to a lot of shitty reboots and remakes out there, I definitely think this one stands above. I would recommend it, And I like that they didn't go the direction of, let's just do an Ash, fucking Ash Williams ripoff. Granted, I like this movie, the Thing prequel, but they try to have a McCready ripoff almost with the leads. Whereas I think in this, it was smart, because I think they probably knew Ash Williams, there's only one Ash Williams, and that's Bruce Campbell. No one else is going to be able to fill that void. So they're like, we're just going to do our own character. We're going to just go our own direction. And Mia, so pretty much the premise is group of friends want to stow away in this cabin, which is David wants and his girlfriend, and two other friends want to take Mia, his sister, who's like a drug addict, and basically try to get her off. So basically they're going to take her to this house, and they find the Necronomicon. One of the characters, Eric, reads it. Shit goes haywire, and obviously they become Deadites, which I'll admit, I'm not as big of a fan of the Deadite designs in this movie, I'll admit. Especially watching it again. They look too generic zombie to me when, those other Evil Dead movies, the Deadites had, their own... Granted, you could argue they looked kind of like zombies in those movies, but they had, a unique enough design to where these are Deadites, and then that's just zombies. I feel like in this, they just borderline were zombies. Just with some super strength. That was my only problem. I didn't hate fully the paint and stuff. It looked good. It's just my main issue was more the design, think you should have given them like white eyes or something. I think that it's fine if a remake takes a couple of things. Like there's a couple of callbacks. Like you get the Vine scene just done a bit differently. You get that like first person view of like the Force chasing them. The chains, granted that was more Evil Dead 2, where Mia loses her hand. That third act though, man, when Mia gets confronted by the creature in the end and she fucking fucks it up, man, it goes fucking bloody. But anyway, so the movie opens up. We see this girl, like kind of bloody, running away from her attackers, and I love this opening because it's such a good like. Well, before I get started, but yeah, so like this girl's running her attackers. She ends up getting captured, tied up, and even like there's even a scene where like she gets tied up and one of the guys hits her with like a shotgun, like the butt of it, and then they tie her up, and then her dad shows up and she's like pleading with him, and then she switches into a deadite. I'm good. I love that opening. This was a solid swerve because you think, granted, I knew this was going in the third time I watched it, but it was like that first time, it's shocking because you think this girl's in danger and these guys are about to fuck her up and you feel bad, and nope, she's a deadite. So he shoots her and then sets her on fire, and then we time jump a couple of years. We meet David Allen. I think the only actress I know is the girl who plays, I don't remember the brown girl. I remember her from Gotham. She was a character in that show, but a lot of the problem I have with these human characters is, besides Mia, and more Mia to be honest, I think David's kind of okay, but everyone else, the problem, they feel like generic horror characters you could easily put in any horror movie, especially at this time period, 2013, the late aughts, they just feel that's the problem I kind of have with a lot of later horror movies. Granted, I think some do have good characters, but there are some times where it's just, I feel like they just make them kind of generic. Like Eric, there's nothing that stands out about him. Natalie's just generic hot girl. The other girl is just the bossy kind of chick. Like Mia's the only character in this who kind of had something about her. So they all want to, Mia to get off heroin. There's like this ceremonial. The set design is really good. That's one thing I really like. Like the cabin, it looks kind of creepier than the original one, to be honest. Like they really did do good with the set design and stuff. And when we get to like the blood, there's a lot of practical effects, which is nice. So, initially, like it starts off all normal, but then they find the Necronomicon, and that night Eric reads it, and things start going haywire, and Mia like starts seeing things, like starts seeing creepy imagery, and she goes crazy, and then like the house thinks like she's just trying to get back on drugs and stuff like that. And then one night, I think it's night. It's like mid afternoon. It's like day, but it's still kind of nighttime. She runs outside, because she wants to leave. So she tries to drive off, which I kind of like those scenes where they're trying to leave, and they do explain why they refuse to leave. Like, because or you can easily throw the argument, why don't they just leave? At least in this, they're like, they don't leave because they don't believe Mia. They don't want to they feel like Mia will just revert back. And there's even a bit more of story, like that David initially walked out on her and she went back to drugs. So it's like, they at least explain that. So she tries to leave, but she sees like a demon or like a naked figure, crashes, and then runs off, and then we get like the familiar vine scene done a little differently because there's like a figure there doing it to her. And then that night, this is where I'll admit, another thing about this movie, the pacing. I gotta say, this is probably about all the Evil Dead movies. They really they're really paced well. They're not boring, even granted, because they're only like hour and a half for the most part, but still, it's like they make use of it. They make use of their time. And the vine scene was really good. It was a nice, unique way. Like, it's a callback, but it's also not just a straight up, like, rip off, you know? Like, they try to do things on their own, but you still have a few callbacks. Like, I'm not against that if you do callbacks, but you still make it unique. You know, like, it was cool seeing the first person view of the force chasing again, you know? So, like there's a lot to like about this movie. The only main gripes I have are the characters. Like, I don't necessarily think there's anything else I really don't like, honestly. So they bring her, she freaks out, obviously runs in, but they don't believe her. And then there was a dog earlier, and then the dog unfortunately gets killed. And then she starts going crazy. Kind of get like a callback, if you remember the first movie, where they have like the trap door and the you know, they start freaking out in front of people. This scene's actually pretty gross, where it jumps on one of the girls and like pukes blood on her, and it's like the practical effects for that actually look really good. Like, they made it look real. So they end up locking Mia in the trap door, and Mia, I think, ends up. There's even a scene like she slices her fucking, like, she licks like a box cutter or something, some kind of knife, and like cuts, like, there's a lot of blood. So that's the one thing about this movie. So later that night, the black girl starts seeing like images in the bathroom, and I think the practical effects in this movie is easily one of the things that make it, like, every like scene where you see like a creepy version or like all of the like blood effects, because there's some, especially in the unfortunately later 2000s, where like a lot of blood spray will be super CGI. Like, I think there's some moments of it in this movie, but it still looks really good, even if it is CGI. Like, some of the, like, when people get cut and people get stabbed and stuff, it just looks good. So Eric tries to talk to that girl. He ends up finding her face is like all cut. Like, man, the fucking gore in this movie is fucking crazy. She ends up attacking him, but he ends up killing her, unfortunately. And that's like the one thing about these movies that's kind of sad, especially the first one. These are a group of friends, you know, and you unfortunately have to kill your fellow friend when they become a Deadite. So he ends up killing her, and then Mia's still locked in the thing. And then Natalie, which is David's girlfriend, turns. Oh, because there's a moment where they're reading more about the Necronomicon, which they try to burn it at first, but it doesn't work. So then they look into it and probably look for clues on like how to defeat it, and they learn about like if these 5 people are killed, like some evil force will rise. And like, I really like the lore surrounding this movie. Like, for what it was, I'm really interested, and they are doing a sequel called Evil Dead Rise. It's supposedly this year. I don't know if it's still going to be this year, if they're going to delay it, because I don't think we've seen any kind of footage of it yet. So there's a poster. That's all I saw. But yeah, I'm definitely interested, because I really like this movie for what it was. The only thing is, and I'll talk about this more in the end, but the only real fix, it just needs better characters. But so before they're able to do anything, Natalie, David's girlfriend, turns into a Deadite, beats them both, starts shooting them with a nail gun, which, oh my god, I'm not gonna lie. Eric gets fucked up. He gets like, well, because initially by the other girl who turned into a Deadite, and then this scene, he gets like shot in the wrist a couple of times with a nail gun, and these were like big ass nails. And then she shoots David in the leg. she then is about to attack Eric and kill him, I think, with a crowbar. Then David shoots her hand off, and then she turns back, but for good. That's like, so I like that they try to change it up a little bit. Like, you're actually kind of able to. Granted, they did do that in Evil Dead 2, but where you can turn back, because largely it was permanent when you turn into a Deadite. But yeah, so I like that they changed it up, and unfortunately, he ended up having to kill his girlfriend. So they're about to set the set the cabin on fire, but then Eric unfortunately dies because yeah, he gets fucked up. He really did get fucked up. I mean, he dies because of injuries. So, there's a scene where David buries Mia, you know, and is about to set the house on fire, or the cabin, but Mia changes back, and she's able to, he undigs her up and then, like, revives her, and she's back to being a human. And the thing about Mia, granted, you don't get a lot of her because there's moments she's a fucking Deadite, but she's still a solid character, especially in the end. And so Eric, because they try to leave, but Eric won't let them because he turns into a Deadite. So David decides to lock himself with Eric in the house and setting it ablaze, the cabin. And then the Force claims 5 bodies, and then manifests and starts chasing Mia into the farm, and then she manages to get the chainsaw. The creature flips, because she's had trouble getting it to work. She finally gets it to work, but the creature flips a car, it was like a whole truck. This other scene, part of me is like, I don't know if I fully believe a whole truck would just fall just on her hand, and that's it, but whatever. Falls on her hand, and she just straight up pulls it off, like, just gung-ho. Very metal. That's the thing about this movie. This movie is metal as fuck. Then she gets the chainsaw, you know, does like a witty line, and then kills the creature. And then it turns to daylight, and you get like a post credit where it shows Ash saying "groovy," and yeah. But I really, and that's the movie. But I really like this movie. Mia is a solid character. She has like a whole character arc, and I like the moments where she is going crazy. They think because she's on drugs or because she was a drug addict, they like don't believe her. My only issue is the other characters just feel generic. They don't feel like characters that would be in an Evil Dead movie. You could take them out of Evil Dead and plop them in some other shitty, generic, you know, horror movie, and they would fit. That's my only issue. Because the characters in the first Evil Dead movie, and even, you know, in Evil Dead 2, I'm more mainly talking about more from those movies, because that's where they got the inspiration from, because Army of Darkness is a little bit out there. But other than, like, that, my only main issue is the characters. I really dig the set design. I like the isolation aspect. Mia was a solid lead, and I really would not mind if they brought her back. I like that they didn't go the direction of, let's just make our own Ash Williams. No, they decided, yeah, she used a chainsaw, but I just saw it as she just used that as a weapon. You know, and yeah, she said a one-liner, but it wasn't to the point where, like, it's easily an Ash ripoff. I just look at it as a little callback, but it wasn't too over the top. It still largely went its own direction. It didn't just try to be a shitty copy of the other movies. I think the other weak thing I said was I didn't really like the Deadeye designs. I just think they look more like just zombies than Deadites. Deadites have like a unique look to where they're not just generic zombies. But aside from that, this is a really good movie. It's paced well. You have really gnarly fucking kills, especially that last chunk where she fucks up that creature in the end. My fucking god, man. They go ham. And again, there's so much fucking blood. But that's fucking fine with me. I love blood. But, like, the kills were good. It was a solid story. It was a great isolated story. I like that it did its own thing. The music was okay. I'm interested to see where this movie goes with this new one. So overall, it's a success. So I would give this movie like an 8. I really like it. I think it's a solid entry in the Evil Dead movies. And probably one of eventually, I think down the line I will definitely do like a top like horror remake at some point. Like horror remakes, and this would be up there. Because I actually think they did a really good job of this. So then after this we got the Ash vs. Evil Dead show, which I'll admit I didn't finish. I'm thinking since I have been rewatching the Evil Dead movies and then, and just did this one, I don't think I'll do a review, but I'm definitely gonna go back and maybe finish Ash vs. Evil Dead. I'll probably just rewatch it from the beginning, but just watch it all the way through. Because I do love this universe. And from, I watched, I think the first bit, I watched all of season 1 and I think a bit of season 2. But it was such a good show. It was brilliant. They brought in new characters. They took it in a direction. They didn't shit on Ash. Even bringing in the girl who played Xena. Can't think of her name right now, but she was Linda Lawless. Yeah, she was in I think she came in season 1 and then was more of a player in season 2. It was cool seeing her. Like, it was a nice way to revive that franchise. So definitely gonna finish that show. So, but this Evil Dead universe is great. It's all around one of the few horror franchises where they're all good movies. Like, there's not a bad one. So, gonna cheers to this movie. But yeah, I definitely recommend the remake. Even, you can, watch it just as a good horror movie. If you don't want to, even if you don't necessarily want to like it as an Evil Dead movie, you can just look at it as like a possession, isolated horror movie. Like, it's fine. I really like it. It's really good. So, but other than that, but tomorrow, gonna review Gladiator. Easily one of my favorite period type piece movies where it's set in a specific time period. Best Gladiator movie. Just the performances, the set design. Ridley Scott put his all in this. Alien is his best movie, but this is definitely a masterpiece, and I don't blame you. I've seen some people put this over Alien. I don't fully agree, but yeah, I can understand why. Just the performances all around, and then the "Are you not entertained" scene is such a classic. Just such a classic. Or Joaquin Phoenix, the thumbs down, such a good villain. Played such a good villain. Man, such a great movie. So I'll be reviewing that tomorrow. And then Sunday, I will review Devil's Advocate. But other than that, fuck Warner Brothers. Fuck Disney. Fuck LeBron James. Fuck Colin Kaepernick. Fuck Kevin Smith. And fuck Seth Rogen. And fuck the Biden administration. Talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.